in your book, The Art of the Deal, you said that money really isn't that important. It's just a means of keeping score. It's playing the game that excites you.
I love the game. I like the money, and the money is certainly a method of keeping score. But I don't do things for money. I do things because I enjoy doing them. That really sometimes can translate into more money than you would have made if you went just after the money.
Never, ever give up. You can change and you can move around, but never, ever give up. I know people that are very smart. They went to the Wharton School of Finance with me. I know other people that aren't as smart, and those people are the top people in industry today, and they just were tougher. They didn't give up. And the smart ones had everything on their plate. They'd always come in with the A+ on the tests and the good boards and everything else. But when they ran into problems, they didn't know how to solve the problems like the guys that weren't as good. And it's very seldom that you see something other than this happen. So never, ever give up.
A lot of that is all in the details. You've got to be into the details, because if you're not, they'll come back to haunt you. So oftentimes, you know, life is in the details. Well, business also is in the details. You have to be very careful. You have to watch the dotted I's, because you can really lose tremendously if you don't watch those details. So we discussed that, and as Robert likes to say, probably more than I do, that's the little finger. But it's all about the details. It's very important.
Right. You want to be totally focused. You can't take your eye off the ball. When I had troubles in the early 90s, a major article came out, and it said very strongly, everything he touches turns to gold. And I believed it. So I'd go out with models at night instead of working. But that wasn't good. And I remember I had a big lease coming up, and there was a big show, and I went to the show. I said, don't worry, fellas, you can handle the lease. You'll get it done. Well, I came back, they didn't get it done, and I would have had it done 100%. And then the market crashed in the 90s. So I had trouble, but it was sort of an amazing, I wouldn't want to do it again. It was an amazing test of yourself. Can you handle pressure? How are you under pressure? Are you smart? You know, when everybody's coming at you.
You know, the worst employee is a good employee. A bad employee is fine because you fire that person right away. A great employee is phenomenal. You want to keep them and cherish them. They're fantastic. But a good employee, you never sort of fire them, but they never lead you to the next level. They just keep their job. They're sort of too good to be fired, but they're not good enough. You're never going to do great. So I always say the worst employee isn't a bad employee. It's just a good or average employee.
Gary Player, the great golfer, he was a little guy, very little, but he worked really hard. And he had a great statement, but he'd go, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And he wins the US Open. You have all these big, handsome guys, these big, giant guys, and they're hitting the ball a mile. And you have Gary Player. And Gary Player would win the Open. He'd win the Masters. He'd win this. He'd win that. They said, what do you think, Gary? What is it? He said, all I know is I've been working very hard. And the harder I work, the luckier I get. I thought it was an amazing statement. Sometimes in life, to be successful, oftentimes, most of the time, you have to follow your instincts. You have to follow your gut. You have to. Your parents may say wrong. Your whoever may say wrong, but you have to do it. So much of success is seeing yourself as victorious. You have to see yourself. You have to really believe in yourself. And sometimes it's hard. You know, you've had failures, you've had weaknesses, you've had other things. You have to see yourself as a one-man band. Don't rely too much on other people because they'll let you down. You have to see yourself as victorious. And to be a winner, you have to think like a winner. If you don't think like a winner, it's just never going to happen.
Many people have been asking about my desk and the fact that I have so many papers on my desk. It's actually very neat. I know where everything is, but if you look around, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. The fact is, I'm busy. I always notice that busy people, people that are very successful in many cases, have a lot going on their desk. I have papers from deals. I have papers from just about everything. I like to read up on things. I like to study what I'm doing. So therefore, you have a lot of action going on in your office. Now, the fact is, I've noticed over the years, successful people have a lot going on their desk. My desk is in my office. My desk is a very important part of me. And frankly, it's a very important part of my success. Everything I do comes right through this desk.
If I were going to give career advice to somebody, it would be that you have to love it. You have to really want it, and you have to love what you're doing. There are so many people that are forced through family pressure or something into doing something that they don't believe in, that they don't like. You've got to go after the kind of a job you like. There are many stories of people that became successful later in their life by doing other things, and they got out of something that they didn't like. And one of them is a friend of mine. He was a failure on Wall Street. His family was very important and big on Wall Street, but he wasn't cut out for it. He wasn't tough enough for it. He probably wasn't smart enough for it, and he was a failure on Wall Street. And all of his life, he was just born to be on Wall Street, but it didn't work out that way. So he stayed, and he didn't do particularly well, but he stayed and stayed. And I used to tell him, just go out and do something else. But then what happened is, at his golf course, they made him the head of the greens committee. They were redoing all of the fairways, all of the greens. And they did it really because they felt sorry for him and nobody else wanted the job. And he did a spectacular job. He was there at 5 o'clock in the morning with the contractors. He worked really hard. He wouldn't get home till 8:30 in the evening. He loved what he was doing. And I told him, you ought to go out and build golf courses. This is what you're good at. And he left at me. He said, Donald, I could never do that. I have to be on Wall Street. I'm expected to be on Wall Street. I have to be on Wall Street. I said, yeah, but you're not happy and you're not good at it. He said, it doesn't matter. I'm expected to be there. Well, he went back. He was miserable. And ultimately, about 5 years ago, he developed a golf course building business where he renovates and builds golf courses. He's doing a spectacular job. It couldn't be better. He couldn't be happier. It's the first time in his life he's doing well and the first time in his life he's happy.